So you just bought your XXL Pro. Let's talk about how we assemble it. First off, we're gonna start unboxing. We're gonna cut the tape on this side and pull out all the other boxes and parts. After you get all the parts and boxes out, I like to set the body up on this edge of the box, or you could also lay it flat on the ground on a piece of cardboard. So it looks just like that. That way you can get to the legs without bending down. Now that you have all your parts, you should have hardware bags that are labeled for each step. First, we're gonna install all 4 legs with the hardware bag that corresponds to the legs. To install the legs, we're gonna line them up with the nut certs on the bottom of the body and insert 3 screws. You're gonna need a Phillips screwdriver or a drill. Once you get the first leg on with the 3 screws, you can do the same for the other 3 legs. Now that we have all 4 legs on, you're going to want to grab a friend to help you tip it upright. Now that we've got it upright, we can remove the door by opening it up and lifting straight up. We can set that aside while we assemble the insides. Now we need the hardware bag to assemble the ash cleanout lock on the side of the grill. It's gonna have the lock plate, 2 screws, and 2 nuts. So we're gonna take the bolt from the outside, it's gonna go through the slot, and we're gonna put the nut on from the inside of the grill. Now we can put in the second bolt. You can get them hand tight and then use an Allen wrench to snug them up. Now we're gonna assemble our ash cleanout plate. We're gonna need to remove this nut from the end. And then we'll slide it in from the inside and put the nut back on. Now we're just going to add the knob to the ash cleanout rod. Now we're going to work on the hopper. We're going to assemble the handle on the side of the hopper, the guard, and hopper lid. Now we need the hardware bag that goes with our hopper handle. We should have 2 metal washers, 2 rubber washers, 2 lock washers, and 2 bolts. So you're going to start on this bolt with the lock washer, then the metal washer, then you can stick all of that through and put on the rubber washer. Then we're going to do the same on this side. So the bolt, lock washer, metal washer, go through, and then the rubber washer. To tighten these bolts, you might need a shorter screwdriver or a small drill. Now we're going to assemble the hopper lid and the guard to the top of our hopper. So we're first going to slide the guard onto this tab underneath the magnet. And then we're going to put the screws through the guard, through the hopper, and into the nut certs on the lid. Now we're going to install the bottle opener and the pellet dump knob. Now we're going to install the hopper onto the body of the grill. We're going to put this section here right through the hole on the side, And then there's 2 smaller screws that go next to the burn cup and 4 screws on the inside of this wall. Make sure to pass the RTD wire safely through the side of the grill and it doesn't get crushed between the hopper and the grill. Now we're going to tighten up all 4 screws on the side of the hopper. And then we'll do the 2 smaller screws that go on these 2 tabs to hold the end of the hopper down. Now we're going to install the inner left and right panels. We should have 12 screws and 2 hooks to install those. Now we're going to put in 6 screws on this side. We're going to want to put the hooks on the top 2 on the right side. Once you start threading all 6, you can tighten it up. We're going to do the same thing for the left side now. We just have to make sure to pass the thermometer through this square hole in the side. And again, once you get them in by hand, you can snug them up. Now we're going to put this panel into the back edge. Make sure to there's one side that has a slight 90-degree edge bent up. That side is going to go towards the back on the bottom side. This might be best to have a friend help you put in the screws from the back while you hold it in from the inside. Perfect. Once we get them threaded in by hand, we can tighten all 6 up. Now we're going to install our internal thermometer. We're going to be putting this cover over the thermometer. Make sure the side that's covered is up so your thermometer's underneath, and then we're going to put in a cover plate to secure the wires. Now we're going to put the plate in directly underneath. Now we're going to install the heat barrier plate. It may come in 2 pieces, or they might be welded together on yours. Just make sure that this round hole lines up with the square hole underneath. And then we're going to put it in this way and make sure that the round hole is directly above our burner, centered up. Now we need this front plate and the smoke box slide. We're going to install those with the shoulder bolt and nut for this step. To install the smoke box slide, we want this edge that's bent up to go down. And then we're going to find these holes. We're going to put the shoulder bolt through the inside, out that hole, and then put our nut on from the outside. Do that to both sides. And then tighten them up with a screwdriver. Now we're going to install the plate with 5 screws. We have 1 on the top corner, 3 across the bottom, 1 on the top on the other side, and that's going to line up with the holes here. I think it's easiest to put your screws and drill or screwdriver on the inside, line it up, and then get to it from above. I like to start by hand threading the 3 across the bottom, so 1 here, here, and here, and then you can finish off by putting in the top 2 on each side. Now we're going to assemble in our butterfly valve with our lock nut, our other nut, and the spring. We're going to start by putting in our butterfly valve. We're going to come inside and a little bit of an angle. You're going to want to find this hole and come straight out the front, and then come into that back hole just like that. Now we're going to put the spring and our regular nut on the front. Just put it snug by hand, and then the lock nut that has these triangle dimples is going to go on the back of the butterfly valve. Once you get it in to where it stops by hand, you're going to want to get a wrench and tighten that up all the way. Now we're going to tighten up this nut until it compresses this spring. That's going to keep our butterfly valve where we want it. Now we're going to put the set screw just in a few turns to the underside of our handle, just enough to keep it in. And then there's this flat side that's going to line up with the flat side on your butterfly valve. We're going to slide it all the way forward, and then from the underside we're going to tighten up that set screw. You're going to want that nice and snug, and make sure your butterfly valve stays wherever you leave it. If it's falling down, you simply need to tighten up this nut a little more to put more pressure on that spring. Now we're going to put the door back on our smoker by lining up the pins with the tubes on the grill and slide it all the way down. Now we're going to put our heat deflector into the grill. You want to make sure to line up these 2 front tabs to the tabs on each side of your butterfly valve. It's just going to drop straight down, just like that. Now we're going to assemble the door handle onto the door. We should have 2 bent washers, a lock nut, and the latch. They're all going to go on the inside edge, so we'll put our handle through first. We're going to start with the first washer, and then we're going to put the latch mechanism on, then another washer, and then our lock nut. Once you get it tight by hand, use a wrench to get it nice and snug. Now we're going to put the drip tray into the smoker. You want to make sure this hole is on the back edge and the bend is down. Now we're going to use these two brackets for our side shelf. There's not a left and right, they just switch sides. So we're going to put one here and the other one here. Now to put our side shelf on, we're going to insert onto the bottom post while it's vertical. All the way in, it's going to drop, and then we can rotate to the top, push it down, and there's your shelf. If you want to collapse your shelf, you simply lift, let it fall down. Now we're going to insert our smoke box. You want to make sure that the slide is all the way out. We're going to come in at an angle, make sure we get past this lip, and then we can drop it down and go straight in. Now we're going to put on our ash cup. We're going to go underneath. You'll see a cylinder coming out with two posts. So if you have the handle facing directly towards you, we can push it up and on, and then we're going to rotate it this way to lock it in place. Now we're going to put on our grease bucket and liner onto the back of the grill. We're going to hang it on this hook right there and it'll catch all your grease. Now we're going to get our sausage hooks ready to go in. You might notice that they're all stuck on one end. I like to find which way they're facing, so we need to move these three and these three all the way around to the front. So we're going to pull them up one by one around the corners. Then we're going to move these ones all the way around. So you want to end up with 6 hooks in the front, 6 hooks in the back, and then we're going to put this in our grill. So we're going to put the top edge in at an angle, swing it over, and they sit just on top of our sides. You can push it to the back if you're not using it. Now we're going to put in our racks. You can put them in at any height you want. Simply slide in, lining up with the brackets on each side. And that concludes our assembly of your XXL Pro. You're ready to do your burn-in and start cooking. If you have any questions, go to campchef.com and contact customer support.